Yeah.
Where?
That's your guy.
You have to tell us where then.
What did you buy?
Just a couple of shirts.
Oh, where'd you go?
Across the street, Dee-Dee's.
Oh, very smart. A good place. So you have been listening to us, haven't you?
Absolutely.
I am so happy about that.
I meant to ask Margie where she got those cool shoes.
Hey, Margie, where'd you get them cool shoes?
I don't remember.
What? She looks
Think
super
about it.
hot.
Let us know.
We should have asked her where she got her whole outfit. And she came off, I know what she wears for motorcycles. She looks pretty hot. I know she didn't ride a motorcycle in that outfit.
She probably came from DSW.
Oh, by the way,
DSW.
aren't those tickets tax deductible because it's a donation?
Oh, yes.
Yes, they are.
I'm sorry, for the headdress ball. I thought you meant tickets.
No, I wanted you to remind everybody because if you're doing a corporate sponsor or you're buying individual tickets, it's all tax deductible, and so it's a great opportunity to donate and have a great time at the same time.
Well, you know what?
Thank you for mentioning that. That's true.
You know what? Just thinking about this, you and Randy have a fantastic office, and you're real big in real estate and this and that, and you're both married, and I know your wives, fantastic ladies. Aww. You ought to spread the word in the real estate section and get a bunch of you guys and come on down and get a table.
That's a good idea, too. Yeah, absolutely.
You'll have a blast. My husband actually loves it. He looks forward to it every year. Like I said, we've been going for like 28, 30 years. He loves it. And Matt, a lot of men don't like going out to these events, but when you get to see, we have some steamy women up there too, because our shows
steamy.
Our shows go from you might see a long skirt and a lady, but you might also see a scene from Chicago. We do it all. And it's all professional choreography, and it's hot and it's great show.
Oh, yes. That sounds great.
Now, since we convinced him to be there, don't you like the way we snuck that in? I'm going to tell you. Boy, that's terrific.
So the guys
you guys are good.
The guys like it, and they like that we give them enough food to eat, unlike a lot of things. Yeah, they get lots of food to eat.
And Mia, you were there when we were doing Santa Claus Eve.
Yes,
and
fabulous.
She loves the food, too.
The food was delicious, and the dessert, oh, my goodness.
I know it.
Awesome.
So we got to thank the National Orange Show. If you ever have an event, that's where you want to go. Go talk to Derek or Albert or Mr. Dan Jimenez that's making that whole thing run well. So,
Okay, now, tell us about real estate. And, Bob, the first question I wanted to ask you straight out the gate, since the 15th of April is coming quite closely, and, got to do taxes and all of that stuff.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Yeah. Now, with the new tax law on real estate, is that going to affect us this year or is it going to affect us next year? And is that having any weight on the prices of the houses and condos?
Well, first off, since I'm not an accountant or anything, I can't give any tax advice. However, as far as the market goes, currently there's lots of buyers out there. Lots of people want to buy. Interest rates are super. They've never been as low as they are right now, in the mid 2% or up to 3%. So it's definitely a great time for people who want to buy. The downside is right now there's practically no inventory of houses for people to even look at or put offers on. Most of the properties that we have there's 20, 30 offers on each property.
And then they had that bidding war going and everything else, because I ran into that not too long ago.
Well,
I was out there snooping.
What it is a lot of people are still upside down. They still owe more on their house than it's worth, so they can't sell right now, even though they may want to. The banks aren't really pushing out a lot of bank repos right now. They're kind of dribbling them out, and whether that's on purpose so that they can increase the prices, because the more people obviously put offers in, it bids the prices up. And then the last thing that's left is people that need to do short sales. And a lot of people that probably could do short sales are still trying to do loan modifications with some of the new programs that President Obama has come out with. And so until they're right up against the foreclosure sale, at that point, then they opt to do the short sale. So that's really cut down on the amount of inventory we have right now, and it's very frustrating for buyers that, you go out and look at houses and look, and you still can't get an offer accepted. One of my most recent buyers I sold a house to, actually right here in San Bernardino, we wrote 50 offers. to get one accepted.
Whoa.
And that's kind of what most buyers are experiencing right now. So it can be very frustrating. You have to be very patient, and hopefully maybe the banks will start pushing out some more repos and things like that, and the shortage will alleviate itself. But up to this point, we're having a very difficult market this spring because there's practically nothing for people to put offers in on.
Yeah, you want to ask something?
Well, I was just going to tell him that I agree with that. My mother was looking for a home, and she found that happen. So usually you want to make a different offer, but you know what? She saw something, and she just said yes right away instead of, trying to counter too low and that kind of thing. If it's what you want, it's what you've been looking for, and it suits all your needs, and it feels like a home to you when you walk in, right now, you need to just go for it. If you've got the great credit, then you need to just go for it, because that's what she said, that she would just be bid out because maybe, the realtor would, or whoever she was working with, would just go a little lower. But this last time, she's in a home, and she just went for it because it's what she wanted.
Well,
Would you agree?
Yeah, well, on the other side, too, 30% of the sales that are out there are all cash buyers. So if you have a loan and you're competing with those people to buy a particular property, they have a little bit more financial means a lot of times to be able to bid up a little bit higher to get that property. So that's part of what's making it very difficult in the market, too, is the number of investors that are out there. And in some cases, they're bidding against each other.
Yeah, I seen that. And then also, both of you were correct that when you were saying, guys, when you get out there, make a list. Stick to that list. If you have a budget, stick to that budget. What happens, what I've been noticing, learning from Bob and his partner, and with Rich and some of the other guys, I've really been picking up on this and all the little words that you use, what it means, and da-da-da-da-da. And it's really exciting when you get into it. And the thing is, when you get that budget, make sure that is what you can actually afford to begin with. And you were right, Christina, when you said how your mom went out there and she was ready to move. If you have all your ducks in the row, you have that money, you jump on that thing faster than a 747 line and coming on down. Do it. And then also, the other thing, too, that bothers me, and it will for a long, long time, is, Bob, when you all talk about short sales.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Tell the truth. There is no such thing as short sales. There never was. There never will be.
Well, that depends on whether you're talking about the amount of time it takes to close one,
or what
it really is, which means that the lender is taking a short payoff on the loan.
Well, both of it, really. And, just have your duckies in the row. Get out there and do your homework.
Well, the most important thing to remember, too, is when you're buying a house, plan for the worst-case scenario. What if your spouse loses their job? What if something happens to you? If the two of you go together to buy a house in California, the house and being able to continue to keep it pretty much depends on both people continuing to work. And that's part of what happened in the last few years is a lot of people were laid off from their work. They got their hours cut back. A lot of things like that, and they were forced into foreclosure or doing a short sale simply because they weren't thinking at the time when they bought the house, well, what would happen if one of us lost our job? And you really have to plan for the worst-case scenario because none of us can control the economy. We're really victims of it in some cases, and so you have to plan for the worst-case scenario to make sure that what you have, you're going to be able to hold on to and to keep, because a lot of those people put down payments down and lost their money and everything like that.
Wow.
And it's really unfortunate. It's very sad.
And they have to also consider if the property is larger. And we almost, at one time, way back, bought this. The kids pass it and they go, oh, there's Mom Street's house. But in the end, we didn't sign the last paper because we were thinking, okay, water, you've got to think about your electricity, your maintenance, the water, like gas. Art said, we would be basically living in this house, and we like to go places a lot. So you're right. You have to factor in, can you afford all of that? Sometimes people don't. But I want to go back to something Bev said just a minute ago, and we talked about it last year when we had the wedding plan, the florist in. Pick a good realtor, and they will tell you what your budget is, take you to what you can afford, right, and show you what you can do and guide you through. A professional, a lot of people, we talked about that earlier with last week with the florist. Well, if you're going to try to go with for sale by own or that kind of thing, you're going to run into a lot of problems. Get yourself a professional. Just like you're here today. Call a good realtor and let them do their job.
Well, what's amazing about for sale by owners that you mentioned is when, first off, about 85% of people that attempt for sale by owners ultimately wind up listing their house with a realtor. And what they found out through research, the National Association of Realtors, is that those homeowners actually, in the long run, wound up getting a higher price and more net at the end of selling their house than had they would have if they would have sold it themselves. And nowadays there's all kinds of disclosure requirements that you have to tell about your house, and if you miss one of those, it can be very expensive in the long run if the buyer has a problem and decides to sue you.
Very costly. I myself, outside of doing all the things I do, I'm a hairdresser, and boy, do we love people coming in saying, look what I did. It can be costly in the end not to get a professional. In almost
you mean
anything.
look what they did to their hair?
Yeah, exactly. Can you fix it? And, it would have only costed this much to do it originally, and now it's triple because it's called corrective.
Right,
and that goes in any kind of business, right?
It does. Yeah. And then the other thing, too, is if you have children in school age, right, my sister did this. And I'm still shaking my head on the stupidity of what she did. She is back east, and she had her 3 daughters. They were all of school age. The area that she was living in, and I won't tell you the state, but it begins with a C. Okay? And renting the best school district ever. Her daughters were thriving. The grades were up. Everybody was happy, and all of this. Well, she decided that her and her husband at that time was separating and this and that. And so instead of staying in the house that she loves, she decided to move. Okay? Like people say, I don't care. Just get to the end of the story. I'm getting there. And so what happened is she started looking around, and she did not take the 5 things in consideration a family should look for. And Bob and I, we talked about this. Check out that school district. If it's nursery school, elementary, junior high, high school, or college. If the children are there, check it out. Find out if it's pet friendly. If you have dogs and orangutans and elephants or whatever you have, and with the dogs, do they have a dog park where they can go and play with other dogs, right? Find out where your local clinics or your closest hospital is. With children, with all the sports, soccer, baseball, this and that, eventually you're going to end up in a clinic or emergency room. So where is the closest one, right? Where are the restaurants, the grocery stores, all of these things? Put this in your planning when you're out there snooping around for the realtor that you want, and call Bob, of course,
property
and then
taxes.
and your property tax, HMOs, all of this.
But see, a good realtor does all that for you.
Yeah, but figure it out. And Bob, you're right. How many people find this house, they have a budget, and they think that, they're never going to lose their jobs or whatever.
Yeah.
And you got to, and then you got to think once you get the house, where are you going shopping to fill it up with all the good stuff?
That's right.
Yes.
Absolutely. So it's important, and I also recommend if you are looking at houses and you do kind of start to zero in on one and stuff, go to that house different times during the week. Because you may go there in the morning and everything is hunky-dory and wonderful, and you may go there in the evening and they may be shooting at each other. So you don't know. So it's important to go at different times of the day to make sure that what you're seeing is an accurate representation of what you're moving into. Because, I've heard of horror stories of people moving in next to pot dealers, and there were people coming to the house across the street like every half an hour, people stopping by continuously, and then you start having a problem with the neighbor, and that's never good when you're in a neighborhood to have anything start up with problems with your neighbors, because you're stuck there unless you want to sell your house.
And look at all the money you lose doing that. I do know somebody who's moved several times.